Every Australian finance influencer seems to have the same advice. Buy VAS and VGS, go 30-70, and that's it, investing solved. But to be fair, this portfolio has worked incredibly well over the past 15 years. But the real question is, does it still make sense in 2026? In this video, I'm going to break down the classic VAS VGS portfolio, crunch the numbers for 2026, look at what's changed over the past 18 months, and answer one simple question. Is this still the best beginner portfolio in Australia? So before you copy this portfolio and put your money in, watch this first. Let's get into it. Part 1, what is the VAS and VGS portfolio and why did everyone start recommending it? So for anyone new, here's a simple version. VAS is Vanguard's Australian Shares ETF. It gives you exposure to the top 300 companies on the ASX. CBA, BHP, CSL, the big banks, and the big miners. VGS is Vanguard's International Shares ETF. It holds around 1,300 companies across developed markets, mostly the US, so you're getting Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and the biggest companies in the world. The classic portfolio is 30% VAS, 70% VGS. And the logic is simple. VAS gives you Australian exposure, VGS gives you the rest of the world. That matters because Australia is less than 2% of the global share market. So VGS gives Aussie investors much broader global exposure, but it does not include emerging markets like China, India, Brazil, or Taiwan. So on paper, it's a great beginner portfolio. Simple, cheap, and diversified. The combined fee is around 0.15% a year, which is super low. You're not paying a fund manager to pick stocks, you're just buying the market, and that's why this portfolio became so popular. But now let's look at whether the numbers still stack up today. Part 2, the numbers. So over the 5 years to March 2026, VAS and VGS together returned positive 81.9%. That's 12.7% annualized. On a blended fee of 0.15%, that's a really strong result. The similar A200 and VGS combination returned around 82.7% over the same period. And the simplest version of the idea, A200 paired with IVV, which is the S&P 500 ETF, actually topped the table at 92.8% or 14% annualized. So over 5 years, the simple 2-ETF approach clearly worked. But the last 12 months tells a different story. Over the 12 months to March 2026, VAS and VGS returned 8.9%, A200 and IVV 8.4%, the S&P 500 ETF on its own returned just 6.9%. Now compare that to the ASX 200, which returned 11.8% over the same period. The 2-ETF portfolio that everyone recommends actually underperformed the Australian share market by nearly 3 percentage points over the past year. The portfolio that's been sold as the smart, simple, set and forget solution actually lagged a basic Australian shares index over the past 12 months. And when you compare it to a different portfolio approach, that gap gets much wider. But I'll come back to that in a moment because first I need to explain why this actually happened. Part 3, 3 things changed and they changed at the same time. The 2-ETF portfolio didn't stop working by accident. For 15 years, VAS and VGS had 3 major tailwinds behind them. Now all 3 have flipped. First, interest rates. From 2010 to 2021, the RBA cut rates from 4.75% to 0.1%. That pushed money out of cash and bonds and into shares. It also happened globally, which was a major tailwind for global equities, especially the US market inside VGS. But now the cash rate is at 4.1%. Australian inflation is back at 4.6%, the highest since 2023. And the IMF expects Australia's inflation to stay around 4% for the rest of 2026. So the easy money environment that made global shares look unstoppable is gone. Second, the Australian dollar. VGS is unhedged. So when the Aussie dollar falls, VGS gets a boost. But when the Aussie dollar rises, VGS gets hit. From 2011 to 2025, the AUD fell hard, which helped unhedge global ETFs. But over the 12 months to April 2026, the AUD rose from around 63.6 US cents to 71.7 US cents. That's why VGS returned 7.8%, while VGAD, the hedge version with the same underlying stocks, returned 16.4%. Same companies, same market, the only difference was currency. And that difference was 8.6%. Third, market leadership change. From the 2010s to 2024, global markets were dominated by US mega cap tech, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. VGS captured that beautifully. But over the past year, the winners have been completely different. Gold returned 34%, gold miners 93%, energy returned 40%, Australian resources returned 45%. And here's the critical point. A VAS and VGS portfolio has zero direct exposure to gold. It has minimal exposure to energy through VGS. It has resources exposure through VAS, but it's not targeted. So the single biggest performance driver in the market over the past year is an asset class that the most popular portfolio in Australia completely ignores. Part 4, what VAS and VGS actually misses. Now VAS VGS is diversified. VGS alone tracks around 1,300 stocks across developed markets. But diversified does not mean complete. There's a whole list of asset classes, sectors, sectors and regions, the VAS and VGS either misses entirely or only captures in a very diluted way. Gold, not included. PM Gold is up 219% over 5 years and 34% over the past year. Gold miners, not included. MNRS is up 93% over the past year. Energy, only a tiny weight through VGS, while fuel is up 40% over the past year. Hedged global shares, not included. VGS is unhedged. VGAD, the hedged version, returned 16.4% over the past year versus 7.8% for VGS. Asia Tech, not included. Asia is up 51% over the past year because it focuses on a region VGS mostly misses. Emerging markets, zero exposure. Australian small caps, barely represented because VAS only tracks the top 300 companies. Now, I'm not saying you need to own all of these. The point is this: when you only hold VAS and VGS, you're accepting whatever the broad market cap weighted index gives you. You have no real ability towards the asset sectors and regions leading in the current environment. And right now, a lot of the winners are exactly the things VAS and VGS don't properly hold. Part 5. So what does a better approach look like? Now, I'm not saying sell everything and start again. The foundation of a good portfolio is still broad, low-cost diversification. That hasn't changed. But instead of relying on just 2 ETFs forever, a better framework is the core and satellite model. You keep most of the portfolio, say 60%, in a diversified core ETF like DHHF, which gives you broad Australian, global, emerging markets, and small cap exposure. Then you use the remaining 40% for smaller satellite positions in areas your core either misses or only captures in a tiny way. The core gives you the foundation. The satellites give you the ability to adapt to what's actually moving in the current environment. Here's how that looks in the data. The first is what I'd call a 5-year theme satellite mix. You hold 60% in DHHF as the core, then you add 10% in PM Gold for gold exposure, 10% in NDQ for concentrated US tech exposure, 10% in QAL for global quality companies, 10% in VSO for Australian small caps. That mix returns 73.8% over 5 years and 12.8% over the past 12 months, beating VAS and VGS across both periods. But the second example is more interesting. This is what I'd call an inflation-aware satellite mix. Same 60% in DHHF as the core, but instead of tech-focused satellites, you swap them out for inflation-sensitive assets. 10% in PM Gold, 10% in VGAD, which is the hedged global ETF, 10% in QRE for Australian resources, and 10% in fuel for energy. That portfolio would have returned 78.6% over 5 years, and over the past 12 months, 19.7%. Compare that to VAS VGS at 8.9% over the same period. That's an 11 percentage point difference in a single year. Now, if you're curious about what that means in dollar terms, pause the video here and you'll see the comparison across each portfolio. Part 6, the reality check. Now, I want to pause here. Core and satellite isn't for everyone. It means more decisions, more ETFs to manage, and more responsibility. You need a view on which satellites make sense, when to hold them, and when to move on. Get that wrong, and the satellites can hurt returns instead of helping. That's why the 2 ETF portfolio still has a place. If you're a beginner or you just want something really simple you can set and forget, VAS and VGS is a solid option. The question is whether you want to do a bit more work to potentially get better returns. And for a lot of investors and advisors I speak to, the answer is yes. And that's exactly what my newsletter is designed to help with. Each week, I go through the macro themes driving markets, identify which ETFs are moving from base to trend, and give you the research to make more informed decisions. If you haven't already, there's a link in the description to start a free 4-week trial. Click the link below. Now let me bring this all together. Part 7, the verdict. So here's the verdict. VAS and VGS is not a bad portfolio. It worked brilliantly because it matched the cycle: falling rates, a weaker Australian dollar, and US tech dominance. Every portfolio is a bet on a certain environment, even the simple ones. And right now the environment looks much different. So practically, that means 4 things. 1, keep the diversified core. VAS, VGS, DHHF, BDHG, or one of the new VanEck Core Plus funds can still be the foundation. The answer isn't to tear everything up. 2, use satellites more deliberately. Gold, hedged international, commodities, energy, resources, and real assets can help cover gaps the basic 2 ETF portfolio doesn't. 3, understand your currency bet. Unhedged global exposure helped when the Aussie dollar was falling. It can hurt when the Aussie dollar strengthens. 4, review the portfolio as the cycle changes. The winners from 2010 to 2024 may not be the winners for the next 5 years. So the real question isn't, is VAS and VGS a good portfolio? The better question is my portfolio built for the market I'm actually in? Because the cycle has changed and the portfolio conversation needs to change with it.